What's up guys, it's Subsy here and I love Pixel phones, and I wouldn't call myself a Pixel fanboy, I'd more so call myself a Pixel lover. That's not really a good term to say, but nonetheless the reason I love Pixel phones like this is not because of the hardware. There's nothing special about the hardware, there's never been anything special about any Pixel phone's hardware, it's the software. And again, we've got a new update where Google have released a lot of new features, and some of them are already on the Pixel 5, some of them have been backdated now to the Pixel 3 and 4 series, and some of them are pretty awesome. Some of them are region specific, so you have to watch out for that, but some of them are pretty cool. I haven't seen all of them in use, so some of them I'm going to be trying for the first time now, and the ones I have tried I'm going to show you guys, and I'm not going to go through all of them because there are quite a few new features, but the ones that I think are pretty cool I'm going to cover in this video.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season.
So to start off with, let's start with one that I can't actually use. Now that is called Hold For Me, I think, Hold For Me, and that is pretty much an extension to something Google announced a couple of years back. Now we may remember Google Duplex. Now Google Duplex was their way of, making phone reservations for you. So the Google Assistant would call on your behalf, it would sound like a person, it would make sounds like a person, like it would and like a normal human would do when they get stuck with a question. And the rollout for that was pretty much US only as far as I'm concerned, and that's a bit disappointing because it has been rolled out there for some time now and it is Pixel exclusive, so that narrows it down even more. Just Pixel phones in the US and only in the US, it just makes it a bit more narrow, but that feature was pretty awesome. You've seen it work, people have made videos about it and all of that, and this is sort of like a next generation thing of that, where now Google can wait on hold for you. So how that works is you'll call up some company and you'll be put on hold, and the Google Assistant will just wait on hold for you, so you don't have to be at your phone, and when it's your turn or your turn to speak to the operator, it will let you know that he or she is there at the phone ready to talk to you and it's your turn, so hurry up and get to the phone. And again, that's pretty awesome and it does work. People have done it, but I can't do it because I'm not in the US, and again it's another US only thing, which sucks, but it does make sense because consider the US English compared to any other English is going to be slightly different, and to us it may seem like UK and US English is pretty similar, but to an AI contextual stuff is very, very different, and just the syntax and the way you speak is going to be quite different, and to make it sound natural there's a lot of work that has to go into it. So of course it's going to be in the US first, and hopefully it does roll out to other areas, and hopefully we get Duplex as well, because I really want to try that out. And I get stuck on hold so many times when I'm talking to companies, not that I do that often, but when I do it's normally at least half an hour in the UK. I don't know if the UK is alone in that, but it seems like a global problem where people get stuck on hold, and it's probably worse this year than any other year just because people being at home on the phone all the time on hold with companies. So yeah, that's the first feature that was announced with the Pixel 5 and 4a 5G, but now is rolling back to the Pixel 4 and 3 series. So if you've got one of those phones and you're in the US, be sure to try that out next time you're on hold. And another new feature is if you do use Google Duo, there's a new screen sharing feature. So you could screen share one-to-one before, but now you can screen share in a group chat. I don't really use Google Duo for group chat, I use it for one-to-one calls, so it doesn't really make a difference to me, but I just thought I'd point that out because that's there now, which is awesome, especially since so many people are doing video calls these days. Sharing your screen can just be a really, really handy feature. Just make sure you're on Wi-Fi or something like that, just so you don't pay a ton of money to share your screen. And now some Pixel users have reported some GPS issues in the past, mostly with the Pixel 4a I think that was, but the Pixel 4a 5G and the Pixel 5 have got improved GPS support now, which is mostly for walking and stuff, to know which side of the street you're on, and just really nitty-gritty details like that. I haven't tested it yet, I probably will next time I go out for a walk to somewhere that I don't know, somewhere that I have to use maps, but I haven't been out to somewhere that I don't know yet, so we'll just have to wait and see on that. Okay, another feature is the Google Photo Editor. So we know that with the Google Pixel lineup, Google have been building their own photo editor app thing within the Google Photos app. Now this takes it one step further, where they've been, adding new features here and there, like retouching or refocusing or blurring backgrounds, which is similar to what I just said, color adjustments and other stuff. So they've already had presets in the Google Photos app, but they've released a new dynamic preset which is meant to use AI to, enhance the photo based on what it sees. And I haven't actually tried it. Let's just see how it works. So let's pick a picture from my gallery. Let's pick something easy to start off with. So there we go. Okay, let's take this and let's launch it. So click the editing app and there we go. We see the enhance, which is the normal one that they've had before. And then we see dynamic. Now you see the other two, warm and cold. Oh, cool, not cold. They've had that before as well. Let's just see what they do. Warm, of course, warms it up quite a bit. I don't tend to use these presets normally. I normally go to the adjust area of it. And I keep calling it presets. They call it suggestions, but it's presets. Warm does that, cool does that, of course. Enhance does this, which, it looks pretty decent and it looks pretty Instagram worthy. Dynamic. It just seems to saturate quite a bit and improve the contrast, or increase the contrast, which may not be an improvement. If we compare the two, enhanced to dynamic, you can see the actual color temperature and the purple shade itself, so the tint, is quite different. I do think the dynamic looks a lot more natural to what it was on the day, but it does seem a lot more contrasty as well, which again may be a look that you're going for. So let's look at another picture to, just see what's happening. So here's a picture of my snake, and again, enhance. Wow, that is really oversaturated. That is nowhere near what it looks in real life. So let's look at dynamic. Okay, in this picture it works a lot better. So the reds are quite oversaturated, but not as much as they are in the enhanced mode. And the skin tones on the hand and the snake are a lot better. So they're a lot more to what they were in real life, and that's quite good. So let's look at something a bit more challenging. When I say challenging, like it's got, highlights and shadows in it. So let's look at this. And enhance basically just brings up the shadows, which doesn't do much. Dynamic. Okay, I see what it's going for. I do have to say the contrast in this isn't my preference. Let's go for this. Now this is a shot of my room with some lighting effects. So let's see how it handles that, because it's not like a natural lighting scenario. So let's go here. Let's look at enhance. Enhance basically makes everything more vibrant and, pleasing to the eye. Dynamic. Oh. So normal versus dynamic. The blues are really, really blue, and let's just say the room was purple, not blue. So it becoming blue is not what I was going for. And compare dynamic to enhance. So the wall in enhance looks a lot more to what it was in real life. But under the table it looks more in dynamic what it was to real life as opposed to enhanced. Again, if you do want any control over your photos, you're better off going to the manual adjustment section. If we go to another one, let's try and find something from night. Yeah, let's go for this one. Let's edit this. And one thing I do want to point out, you can see here that we've now got more options. So it actually looks at the scene and it tries to understand what type of filters or suggestions you want. So it's not just filters, again, it's suggestions based on the image you're looking at. So we have enhance, which looks terrible. It just looks bad. It just makes everything really, really cool. And it should be a lot warmer than that. Dynamic. No. That's just the worst so far. But then we can go to the others and you can see that they are a lot more pleasing. And I really like that. I really like Stormy for this scene especially. So from there to that. And yes, it's a cooler tone, but it's a nicer image. Compare Stormy to enhance. Yeah, I don't like the way enhance just brings up the shadows, because you lose a lot of dynamic range in the photo. And that's not really what I'm going for. And yeah, so if you do want to use them, just make sure you go through them and see what you're going for, and make sure they align with what you want and not just oversaturate and over contrast and blow everything out. But they're not too bad. They're on the better side of filters, so can't complain too much. Okay, so now we get into some of the interesting stuff, and we all know how Google Lens works, or at least we hope we do, or I hope you do. So Google Lens tries to analyze what it sees on your display, or tries to read text or something like that from your camera or something. There's been an improvement to that. So if you're on like a website or something, let's open up something, and there we go, Amazon Germany. So if we have this page open, we can see that it's not in English. And again, at the bottom we have the thing to translate it. But what if we didn't have that? Let's close that. If we go to the multitasking thing, now it does say that it should be an option here, but it's not. So there's two ways you can do what I'm going to do. And one is meant to be on this page, which I can't see how to do, so I'm not going to do that. The second way to do what I'm going to do, which I'm going to show you how to do, and once I've done it you can see what I'm going to do, is to take a screenshot. And once you've done that, go to the screenshot. So you've got the screenshot, and you can see it's in German, and with any image you can translate it. You can copy text from the image by pressing that. We all know you can do this, and this is one of the awesome things of like Google Lens. You can copy text from anything. But now you can click here, click the button and translate text. So you click that, and you can see it's not just the text that's translated, it's translated on the image. So you can zoom in and out, and the text is it's translated on the image. It's not saved the image as translated, but it has translated it, and that's really cool. Like, there's been so many scenarios where I have actually used Google Lens to translate stuff. So like signposts, I can't remember many others off the top of my head, but I have used it to copy text. So say you've got like something that you want to copy, you can either select it like this and copy it here. Or before that was the case, I used to use Google Lens for that. So even in the Google Camera app, you can use Google Lens to, point your camera at something and select the text, copy it and send it to somebody. It's just really useful to have Google Lens. And Google Lens isn't Pixel exclusive. It's just the, combination of everything together, and the integration, that's the word, integration, that's exclusive to Pixels. Everything else you have the app of Google Lens where you can use it. So on the iPhone you can download the Google Lens app and use it, but on this everything's built in and everything's throughout the whole OS, so you don't need to launch a Google Lens app to do anything. Okay, I am doing this in a specific order in what interests me. So the next one is battery saver. Now, we all love battery. We just hate it when the battery dies, and of course we want a longer battery life. This has a new feature. So in the past, Samsung phones and some other phones have had extreme battery saver profiles, and some of them are actually really good. So some of them turn your phone into black and white mode, low power states and reduced background processes and all of that, which is really good. And Pixel phones have not had that. So this isn't like a new feature for phones. This is a new feature for Pixel phones. So as we know, when we close our phone, when we turn the phone to standby or whatever this mode is, even when we're not using the phone is doing stuff on its own. It's running background processes, it's waiting for notifications to come in from A, B or C. It's waiting for your Twitter feed to update in the background, or your location to track where you're going or something like that. It's doing stuff in the background. And that all uses battery. So say you're on 10% and you've got an hour left to get home, and you want to make sure that your phone is going to last that long, and you know that all you want to do is have WhatsApp running in the background, so you get a message urgently from somebody if you need it, but everything else you don't care about. You don't care about your text messaging, you don't care about your emails, you don't care about Instagram or Snapchat or anything else. So you want an extreme battery saver mode. Well, that's what you get here. So I've got it off because I don't need it, but what you can do is you can assign essential apps. Now what these are basically like a whitelist of apps. So any app that you select here in this list is going to be allowed to run in the background with battery saver on, or extreme battery saver. Anything that's not on the list is not going to be allowed to do its background processes. So it's not going to be able to get push notifications or sync with your location or anything like that unless it's on the list. Now this, depending on how many stuff you have installed on your phone and how many things are running in the background, could be amazing to save your battery life if you are on 10%. It can last you a lot longer than it's going to without that. Now I haven't tested it on this phone, but just based on how it works and that feature being on other phones, other non-Pixel phones, you know that it's going to work really well. And it's just a shame that it took this long to come to a Pixel phone, because other phones have had it for ages. So one cool thing about this battery section stuff is that when you go back, the adaptive battery. Now what this does is it tries to analyze your behavior, your patterns, including your battery charging patterns, not just your usage of the phone, because phones have been able to track how your battery usage is for a long time. They can track your screen on time, your app usage time and all of that. But this tracks your charging habits too. Now what it does with that is it tries to guess if you're going to run out before your next charging cycle or not. So say you charge every night, the phone would know that, and it would know when it's going to run out based on your usage. So say you use a lot of Netflix in the afternoon or a lot of YouTube in the afternoon, and you're running on 20%, and it knows you're going to charge at 8 p.m. because that's when you do it, and it thinks you're going to run out of battery. It would know to prioritize YouTube usage and minimize background processes to try and get you as close to that charging point as it can. And that sounds really cool. I haven't tried it because that would take a long time of trying it with and without to see if it works, but based on how it's implemented, it seems to be like a really good or cool feature, and it's not something that's going to change your life or anything like that, but again, it's just a nice to have, and anything that helps the phone last longer, again, in my book, is a thumbs up. And now with the battery stuff, so we all know that 5G is a big craze, and 5G drains a lot of battery. So I don't use 5G because I don't have 5G in my area, but the Pixel 5 does have 5G, so does the Pixel 4a 5G, in the name, of course. It now has adaptive connectivity. Now this is similar to what Apple has done with the iPhone 12 ranges, where it switches between 4G and 5G for certain tasks. So it doesn't use 5G for everything because that would be pointless and just waste your battery. So say you're receiving text messages or WhatsApp messages, or you're browsing the web or something simple, it would use 4G. But then as soon as you switch over to something like, streaming video, or, something intensive like downloading something, it will switch over to 5G because it needs that bandwidth, it needs the highest speed, so then it will switch over. But then when you go back to browsing the web, it will go back to 4G because it doesn't need that speed, it just needs the efficiency of 4G. And changing between them can be really good. I can't try it out, of course, because I'm not in a 5G era, but again, anything that helps battery life is a step up. So the Google Pixel has had a feature for some time, which is the always listening for songs feature, where it tells you the song on the front of the screen when it's off, if it hears it in the background, without using any data. They've taken that to another step, so you could always go into your settings and go to your sound section, and you can go to your now playing section, and from that you can turn it on and off, of course, and then you could also look at the history. Now this would show you the songs that have been playing in the background. So say you were in a store and you walked out and you were like, oh, that song, that was a good song, what song was it? Just go to your phone and it will tell you what song it was in the store, and you have a list of it, so it goes back a long time. I didn't expect it to go back this long. Since I've had the phone, it goes back that far. Okay, so it keeps track of all of it. But say there's quite a few, you just want, to have them in a playlist because you enjoyed every song that was playing in that store, because, supermarkets have really good music. So what you could already do is you could click this and, play it in your own app. So you could play it in Spotify and YouTube Music. Before that it was Google Play Music as well, but you can't do that anymore. But now what you can do is if you select multiple, so you can just do this, click the export button, and you can add it to a playlist in YouTube Music. Now it is disappointing that you can't do this in any other app apart from YouTube Music, but again, it seems like a push for YouTube Music, and it's better than nothing. I don't use YouTube Music. I mean, I have it for some stuff, but I'd prefer it to be Spotify. But again, this feature is quite niche anyway, so it's not the end of the world, and you can just, select a song and click Spotify and then launch it in Spotify. So that's that. And now we come to the feature that in my mind is my most exciting feature. The one I'm most excited for, that's the best way to put it. So when I got the Pixel 5, my biggest disappointment with this was the speakers. Coming from the Pixel 2 XL, the speakers on this, or in my mind, the single speaker on this, and I know they say stereo, but I'm considering this to be a single bottom firing speaker. My speaker experience with this has been average. So it's not great, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just average. They've introduced something called adaptive sound. Now that sounds, like an AI sound thing where like everything listens to everything and makes everything better, just magical thing. So I'm not going to take that at face value, I'm going to test it out, and I haven't done this before yet. So we're going to try this out together, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open up the settings for that so I can enable it and disable it at the same time, or not at the same time, but during the same track, see the difference, and describe to you guys, or let you guys listen if you can hear the difference, what it's like. Let's find out where it is. So sound, advanced, adaptive sound, here we go. Okay, so what this should actually do is it's going to listen to stuff. So it's going to use a microphone to improve the quality of the sound coming out of it. Now, when you hear that, you may think that it's going to listen for, like a background noise and stuff like that to try and change your equalizer to match it or drown out that noise or something like that. It's not going to do that. It's not going to listen for like a train track in the background or your car's hum or something. It's going to listen to the sound output that it's giving and compare that to the signature that it was going to give, and see how the acoustics of the room are affecting it. Or say you put this in a cup, see how that's affecting it, and then change the equalizer based on that. So it's going to listen to itself more than anything else. At least that's what I think it's going to do. I don't know how well it's going to work. I can't exactly test it in different environments, but I'm going to test it here just to see if it makes any difference at all. Now, it does say that it wouldn't work much in higher volumes, and my guess is what it's going to do is, when it changes the equalizer at higher volumes, you've sort of maxed out everything there is, so you can't really adjust the bass a bit more, or the treble a bit more, or that frequency. That's limited. So maybe I'm going to try this at like half volume or like a third volume maybe. So let's get into it. Let's open Spotify. Right, so let's listen to a track here. I'll put it on the table. It's about half the volume. This is with adaptive sound off. Let's turn it on. I don't know if you guys heard that. There is a difference. So when you turn it on, it takes like a second for it to change the sound signature, and it seems to be analysing it at that point, but you can sort of hear it transition to the new equalizer. It's not like a dramatic cutoff, but it is when you turn it off. So let's hear it again. This is off. That's on. Let's turn it off. Right, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's better than I thought. Let's try a different track. Okay. This is off. On. Off. So you can see it sounds a bit tinny. It's got a lot more low end in it now. I feel like it knows that it's got a tinny speaker and then compensates for that. Let's turn it down, pick it up, see how it changes. Off. On. Turn it up.
I'm the chosen. Snow is falling. Elfie's calling. Check my list twice. Most of y'all done. Sleigh bells ringing. Diamonds blinging. Carols singing.
Off.
Favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing. Diamonds blinging. Carols singing. Favorite season.
I don't know if you guys can hear that through the microphone, but there is a massive difference in that. It's not so much in the volume itself, because that of course is still limited by the speaker. It's the clarity. Like, you can hear a lot more low end in this, and that's been the issue with this speaker. So when you get a teeny speaker, you normally have like a lot of vocals at the top and a lot of like just the high end instruments, but you don't have much of like a range between the mid to low end. This seems to do that. This seems like literally setting a profile in the equalizer for that, and it changes. And I guess that's what the dynamic word means, but I didn't expect it to make that much of a difference. That's actually interesting. I mean, the volume is still an issue, but the sound quality, I will test that more. I'll test it out in different environments and different situations. So like with the TV shows, for example, that may make people's voices sound better, more natural. That's interesting. Alright, so that's pretty much it for what I wanted to show you guys about the Pixel stuff, the new stuff that's to the Pixels. And again, this stuff should trickle back to the Pixel 4 and 3 series. It's not on the Google Pixel 2 series or before that, because they've ended support for that officially, which, I mean, they had 3 years, so that was fairly good. So if you do have one of the Pixel phones, be sure to try it out. Be sure to let me know how any of this stuff compares on your phone. If you do have the Pixel 4 or 3, how is the new adaptive sound thing for you? Because they have better speakers. Or if you have the 4A 5G, because that has the best new Pixel phone speakers. I do wonder how that's going to be with this, because, I mean, if this phone with its average speakers sounds quite good with that, I only wish my Pixel 2 XL had that, because that had quite good speakers. But that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know if you guys like Pixel phone exclusive stuff, or if you guys hate Pixel phones for some reason. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like, thumbs up, like, and click the bell icon so you don't miss any future content. But as always, it's been Subsy here, and I'll see you guys next time.
Snow is falling, Elfie's calling, check my list twice.